We had a major trade that broke down earlier today. The Indianapolis Colts are sending their 2026 first round pick, their 2027 first round pick, and their young wide receiver and A.D. Mitchell to the New York Jets to bring in former All-Pro corner and Sauce Gardner. And we will talk about the New York Jets and the future with that organization later in this video with those first round picks. But let's start off with Indy. The last time the Colts won this division was in 2014. The last time the Colts went to the NFL playoffs was in 2020. And they view this as an all-in year with the way that Daniel Jones is playing and the way that the offense is playing in general. But the Achilles heel with the Colts over the last few years has been the cornerback position. That's why in free agency, this previous offseason, they signed Cameron Bynum from the Minnesota Vikings, who has been one of the best safeties in the NFL. He's worth the money. And they brought in Charvarius Ward from the San Francisco 49ers. Now, Charvarius Ward has been a very good cornerback over the last 3 years, especially when Steve Wilks was the defensive coordinator with the 49ers. They went to the Super Bowl that season against Kansas City. But Charvarius Ward is dealing with a concussion, and he's currently on IR. Maybe he'll be able to return later on this season, but concussions are tricky. The Colts are ranked 4th in rushing defense with their brand new defensive coordinator and Coach Lou. They had Gus Bradley over the last couple of years. He was a terrible defensive coordinator against the run and against the pass. But their passing defense is ranked 25th. You're getting a very good cornerback in man-to-man situations. And with Charvarius Ward is fully healthy, you can have a phenomenal 1-2 punch on the back end of this defense. The problem that I have with this trade for Indy, you trade 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner. He hasn't been the same cornerback since his rookie season. And maybe it's because he's playing on bad football teams year in and year out. He was one of the best cornerbacks in the game when Coach Saleh was the head coach and when he had full control of that defense. And he's not a bad corner, but it's been a bunch of holding calls with Sauce Gardner, and he has given up big plays over the last 2 seasons. But maybe with a team that has a better record, they have a better culture at the moment, they can get the most out of Sauce Gardner, and maybe he can become a top 3 cornerback once again. Because in my opinion, you have Patrick Surtain with the Denver Broncos. He's dealing with an injury right now. That's number 1 cornerback in the game. I still have Sauce Gardner as a top 5 corner. He just doesn't have the same impact that he once had. But he comes over to the Colts. You match him up with Cameron Bynum. Straight out the gate, that's a strong duo on the back end of this defense. They just need Charvarius Ward to come back as soon as possible to match those guys up together. But bringing in Sauce, that's a great move. 2 first-round picks, it's a little rich for me. But you had to get this deal done. You're in a win-now situation. And the front 7 with Indy is very good. You've invested a lot of money in this front 7 and a lot of resources in general through the NFL draft. You have Kwity Paye, who's a very good pass rusher. He can stop the run. DeForest Buckner is still one of the best defensive tackles in the game. He doesn't get enough recognition by the national media, in my opinion. He's the perfect defensive tackle. He can stop the run. He can push the pocket towards the quarterback. In this ugly loss against the Steelers did not run the football very well. The Colts defense did the best they could against the run. But when your offense is having so many turnovers, drive after drive is going to wear down your defense and the special teams mishap. You shot yourself in the foot against the Steelers, and you still kept the game close towards the end of the game. So that's something that you can build upon. But defensively speaking here, the defense did not let them down against the Steelers. The defense did not let them down against the Los Angeles Rams, and those are the only 2 games that they have lost this season. But having DeForest Buckner mixed in with Grover Stewart, it's a very good defensive tackle unit. Kwity Paye can get to the quarterback, can stop the run. Latu, he needs to be more consistent as a pass rusher, but he can flip his hips back into coverage. Look at what he did against Tua in week 1. Came away with that interception. And we've seen Latu have moments of being a very good and consistent pass rusher. It just needs to be from game to game at this point, but there's a lot of upside with him long term. Samson Ebukam, right now he's dealing with an injury. He's a solid rotational pass rusher. Jermaine Pratt, veteran linebacker. I think that he's very good to have on this team right now. Zaire Franklin, one of the best tacklers in the game, elite run stopper. And that's been the case with him over the last 3 seasons. Even when Indy hasn't had the best quarterback play, Their rushing defense with the players has been solid. It was just bad coaching with Gus Bradley. But you're seeing what Coach Lue is able to do, and I am so happy for Coach Lue. He was the scapegoat with the Cincinnati Bengals. They fired that man, and they still have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. He comes over to the Colts. Top rushing defense. Your secondary needs to be better, but that is why you made the trade to bring in Sauce Gardner. I still view the Colts as a top team in the NFL. One bad game for Daniel Jones doesn't change that for me. You went against the Steelers pass rush. You're not prepared. You got punched in the mouth. If you face the Steelers again, you may go out there and you may defeat them in the NFL playoffs right now. Because you have Sauce Gardner matched up with DK Metcalf. You have Charvarius Ward matched up with the opposite wide receiver. And the same against Kansas City. The Colts, they face Kansas City in a couple of weeks. That's going to be a fun matchup. And I think that the Indianapolis Colts, they could come away with the win. A lot of people are still going to sleep on Indy because of Daniel Jones at the quarterback position. But I always say this, you cannot judge a player off his past too much. And in certain situations, you can. But this season, Daniel Jones has played very well. And let's talk about the offense here. Then we'll talk about the New York Jets in their future. Daniel Jones had one bad game against the Steelers. You look at that film, you learn from it. But it doesn't change the fact that against tough defenses this season, he has still had some very good moments. In week 1 against the Dolphins, you can say that they're one of the worst teams in the NFL. You still won that game 33-8. Daniel Jones, 22 of 29, 272 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 0 interceptions. Against the Denver Broncos, that's a tough defense. They won that game 29-28. Daniel Jones, 23 of 34. 316 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 0 interceptions, and he was phenomenal in the second half. In the first half, Bo Nix did major damage, but Coach Lue comes in with those adjustments at halftime, something Gus Bradley did not do over the last couple of years in Indy. They stopped the offense, and the Broncos kicker, he did miss a field goal late in the fourth quarter. Daniel Jones, he gets the kicker into field goal range. He misses the first kick, but it's a penalty with the Denver Broncos. Moves them closer, game-winning field goal, you walk off. That's football. But Daniel Jones still played well enough for them to win this game, and they won this matchup. Now, against the Tennessee Titans, against one of the worst teams in football, but it's a division opponent. You defeated them, that's great. Against the Rams here, you lost this game 27-20. And this is where we get into the A.D. Mitchell segment. They would have won this game. A.D. Mitchell had so many moments against the Rams to cash in and to be the savior and to help put them ahead. It was one play in particular. He fumbles the ball at the 1-yard line. I don't understand what it is with players in today's game. But right before he crosses the red zone, right before he crosses the end zone, fumbles the ball, comes out of his hand. Shane Steichen was very upset, and rightfully so. It goes for a touchback. That's a touchdown that he gave up, and you lost this game 27-20. You lost this game by a touchdown. Now, Daniel Jones did have 2 interceptions in this matchup. He did not perform at his best, but he still had good moments, and he still played well enough for them to win. And the same with the defense. And that's against one of the better teams in the NFC. And I believe this is why they traded A.D. Mitchell. He had drops last season. He's a very good route runner. He's a smooth route runner. But the drops he had last year and that fumble this year against the Rams, it did him in. And it put him in the doghouse. You did not see him get the same snap count as he got before that fumble. And rightfully so with Shane Steichen. Players have to learn from that. So hopefully with the Jets, he'll get a fresh start and he can be a talented wide receiver moving forward. There's still talent there with A.D. Mitchell. But he's not a make or break wide receiver with this team. You have Tyler Warren, who's a top receiving tight end this year as a rookie. You have Michael Pittman Jr., who's a true number 1 wide receiver. And you have Alec Pierce and Josh Downs holding things down inside the slot position. Those are 4 weapons. And you have Jonathan Taylor, who is one of the best running backs in the game. And against the Los Angeles Chargers, yet another tough defense. Daniel Jones, 288 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And he defeated the Tennessee Titans twice here. Now, this is my one thing with Daniel Jones. If they stop the run with Jonathan Taylor, can you still be the same quarterback behind this offensive line and with the weapons that you were given? This is the best team that he's ever played with in his career. He played with some terrible teams with the Giants. His best offensive player was Saquon. And Saquon is still one of the most impactful players in the game. But he never had a true number one wide receiver until his last season in New York. So he needs to make the most of this opportunity. There's going to be a lot of teams moving forward. Their game plan now, the Steelers, we're going to stop Jonathan Taylor. That's going to be the case against the Falcons. That's going to be the case against Kansas City. Within the next couple of weeks, we're going to stop the run of Jonathan Taylor. Daniel Jones, can you beat us with your arm? And if you can, congratulations. But that's how coaches are going to view that tape with Daniel Jones. And the offensive line has to be better. They got punched in the mouth by Alex Highsmith, TJ Watt, Herbig, and crew. You can't have that happen. Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback against pressure. Most quarterbacks aren't. But that's the one thing with Daniel Jones that is still a negative on him. Even in certain matchups against the Rams that send in that blitz, the same against the Chargers, he'll go blind against the blitz. He needs to work on that. And I trust that Shane Steichen will continue to work with that throughout the season. Shane Steichen is an elite play caller and is a very good head coach. Look at the work that he did with Justin Herbert with the Chargers. Look at the work that he did with Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. That's the first Super Bowl matchup with Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. And they lost that game because of a holding penalty. The offense was very consistent. Shane Steichen did such a great job with Jalen Hurts, it earned him a huge contract. And I'm talking about Jalen Hurts here. And it helped get him this job with Indy. So we know that he's an elite play caller. And Jonathan Taylor, he is still an MVP candidate. Just because you have one bad game on the season doesn't mean that you're not an MVP candidate anymore. He's averaging 6 yards a carry, 12 rushing touchdowns on the season, 895 rushing yards on 157 carries. This is his offense. Even though you have all those weapons that I spoke of before with Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, and Alec Pierce, this is Jonathan Taylor's offense. You run this offense through him, you work off of play action. And the one thing that we know about the NFL, and this has been happening year in and year out for many decades now, a run game will travel with a great defense every single time. As long as you can run the football, you will be fine. And even though Jonathan Taylor, he's amazing. He's great. This offensive line is phenomenal. Bernard Raymond, one of the best left tackles in the game. Quentin Nelson, he's going to go down as one of the best Indianapolis Colts of all time. He has been a great left guard for many years now. And this is an offensive line. They lost Ryan Kelly in free agency, their center. He went to the Minnesota Vikings, and they lost Will Fries, their right guard. He went to the Vikings as well. But you have Tanner and Quentin Nelson. They're mauling through people. Matt at the right guard position, he's mauling through people as well with Braden Smith. Do not let one game cloud your judgment with the Indianapolis Colts. They are still a very good team in football. We have so many people, they still speak of Kansas City and the same the Buffalo Bills. They've had bad moments this season. Some of the best teams in history, they have ugly losses, but they learn from it and they bounce back from that adversity. And I think that Indy will. You gave up too much a little bit, in my opinion, for Sauce Gardner, but I understand why you did it. You haven't won this division since 2014. The last time you made the NFL playoffs was 2020. And in this division right now, they're clearly the best team. I have them over the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans, they can't protect CJ. Their offensive line is abysmal. I still believe in CJ. I'm still a huge fan of DeMeco Ryans. But I put the Houston Texans on the back burner right now. You look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're dealing with injuries. And Trevor Lawrence is so inconsistent at the quarterback position. But I will give them some respect the same way I give the Houston Texans respect. The Houston Texans, they have a phenomenal defense. And the Jaguars are in year one with Liam Cohen. And as far as the Tennessee Titans, one of the worst teams in football. A rebuilding team. But that's it for the Colts. I have them being a top seed in the AFC when it's time for the playoff seeding, if they can stay fully healthy. Now, as far as the New York Jets here, I love this trade. You get 2 first-round picks. You get a young wide receiver in A.D. Mitchell to pair him up with Garrett Wilson. As I record this video, Garrett Wilson is still with the New York Jets. They may trade him. We'll see what happens. But having those 2 first-round picks with this new administration, with a new general manager and a new head coach, can do wonders long term. The offensive line has a lot of resources through the NFL draft. With Armin Membu. The same with Elijah Vera Tucker. Even though Elijah Vera Tucker has dealt with injuries in his career, when he's been on the field, he's been solid. You've tried your best, and you have Olu Fashanu, who you drafted in the first round. You let these offensive linemen truly develop. It's going to be some good moments. It's going to be some ugly moments early on in their career. And Breece Hall has looked very good this season. He looks like how he looked his rookie year before he tore his ACL. You have pieces here with the New York Jets. And you won that football game against the Cincinnati Bengals. This is still not a good football team. This is not a good organization. But you need to cash in on those picks. So you trade one of your best players to bring in some more draft capital. Now you have 2 first-round picks in this year's draft class and 2 first-round picks in next year's draft class. You can get the quarterback of your liking this year, or you can get the quarterback of your liking next year. Justin Fields had a good game. He's had some good moments this season with the Jets, but he doesn't look like he's going to be that franchise quarterback in New York. Woody Johnson, he loves Aaron Glenn. Seems like he's going to be the head coach for the foreseeable future. I hope that's the case. But your defense really hasn't been the same since they fired Robert Saleh. If we're just going to be honest here and rip that Band-Aid off, when they fired Robert Saleh, when the Jets lost to the Minnesota Vikings in London, the defense took a major step back. They had Coach Brick be the interim head coach. Everything went downhill. Had a bunch of holding penalties. Can't stop the run. Passing defense hasn't been the same. And it doesn't make sense to hold on to valuable pieces when you can't even win football games this season. You've only won 1. And I wish other teams around the NFL would do the same thing the Jets just did. And they just gave Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner contract extensions this offseason. I wish the Raiders would do this with Max Crosby, but they're not going to do it. It just makes sense to go out there and just to script things down and go from a different standpoint. We're not good enough to win right now. Let's get rid of some of our best players. You can also build some more depth in those pass rushers behind Jermaine Johnson, behind Will McDonald, who are very good players, but you have little to no depth in the front 7. And you have Quinn Williams. I don't see them trading Quinn Williams, by the way. It's easier to find a cornerback than it is to find a superstar defensive lineman that can stop the run and get to the quarterback. And that's what Quinn Williams can do. But the future could be bright in New York. But at the end of the day, it's a Woody Johnson-led team. Take with that information what you will. Woody Johnson is one of the worst owners in sports. But this was a good move. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about this trade, and did the Colts give up too much to the New York Jets? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys to stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.